baked and black with many years of meal preparing. On top of this earthen structure stood a deep, round iron cauldron. This cauldron he filled partly full of water, dipping it with a half-gourd from an earthen jar that stood near, but he dipped cautiously, for water was precious. Then, after a hesitation, he suddenly lifted the jar and emptied all the water into the cauldron. This day he would bathe his whole body. Not since he was a child upon his mother's knee had anyone looked upon his body. Today one would, and he would have it clean. He went around the oven to the rear, and selecting a handful of the dry grass and stalks standing in the corner of the kitchen, he arranged it delicately in the mouth of the oven, making the most of every leaf. Then from an old flint and iron he caught a flame and thrust it into the straw, and there was a blaze. This was the last morning he would have to light the fire. He had lit it every morning since his mother died 6 years before. He had lit the fire, boiled water, and poured the water into a bowl, and taken it into the room where his father sat upon his bed, coughing and fumbling for his shoes upon the floor. Every morning for these 6 years the old man had waited for his son to bring in hot water to ease him of his morning coughing. Now father and son could rest. There was a woman coming to the house. Never again would Wang Lung have to rise summer and winter at dawn to light the fire. He could lie in his bed and wait, and he also would have a bowl of water brought to him. And if the earth were fruitful, there would be tea leaves in the water. Once in some years it was so. And if the woman wearied, there would be her children to light the fire, the many children she would bear to Wang Lung. Wang Lung stopped, struck by the thought of children running in and out of their 3 rooms. 3 rooms had always seemed much to them, a house half empty since his mother died. They were always having to resist relatives who were more crowded. His uncle, with his endless brood of children, coaxing, "Now how can 2 lone men need so much room? Cannot father and son sleep together? The warmth of the young one's body will comfort the old one's cough." But the father always replied, "I am saving my bed for my grandson. He will warm my bones in my age." Now the grandsons were coming. Grandsons upon grandsons. They would have to put beds along the walls, and in the middle room the house would be full of beds. The blaze in the oven died down while Wang Lung thought of all the beds there would be in the half-empty house, and the water began to chill in the cauldron. The shadowy figure of the old man appeared in the doorway, holding his unbuttoned garments about him. He was coughing and spitting, and he gasped, "How is it that there is not water yet to heat my lungs?" Wang Lung stared and recalled himself and was ashamed. "This fuel is damp," he muttered from behind the stove. The damp wind." The old man continued to cough perseveringly and would not cease until the water boiled. Wang Lung dipped some into a bowl, and then after a moment he opened a glazed jar that stood upon a ledge of the stove, and took from it a dozen or so of the curled dried leaves, and sprinkled them upon the surface of the water. The old man's eyes opened greedily, and immediately he began to complain. "Why are you wasteful? Tea is like eating silver." "It is the day," replied Wang Lung with a short laugh. "Eat and be comforted." The old man grasped the bowl in his shriveled, knotty fingers, uttering little grunts. He watched the leaves uncurl and spread upon the surface of the water, unable to bear drinking the precious stuff. "It will be cold," said Wang Lung. True," said the old man in alarm, and he began to take great gulps of the hot tea. He passed into an animal satisfaction, like a child fixed upon its feeding. But he was not too forgetful to see Wang Lung dipping the water recklessly from the cauldron into a deep wooden tub. He lifted his head and stared at his son. "Now there is water enough to bring a crop to fruit," he said suddenly. Wang Lung continued to dip the water to the last drop. He did not answer. "Now then," cried his father loudly. "I have not washed my body all at once since the New Year," said Wang Lung in a low voice. He was ashamed to say to his father that he wished his body to be clean for a woman to see. He hurried out, carrying the tub to his own room.